Have you ever wondered if those ancient prophecies were actually meant for our time? Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating interpretation that connects apocalyptic symbols from 2,000 years ago directly to the technology and anxieties of the 21st century. So here's the core idea we're going to be exploring. A particular source argues that the famous, almost mythical symbols from the Book of Revelation, the Four Horsemen and the Mark of the Beast, aren't just ancient history. It suggests they're actually a blueprint for events that are unfolding right now in our digital world. The source we're looking at calls this a deep decode operation. Now, the point isn't about predicting doomsday, not at all. It's more about seeing if these ancient, powerful symbols can help us understand the headlines and the anxieties that are shaping our world today. For 2,000 years, these images have kind of haunted the human imagination. And our source today focuses on two of the most powerful ones: the four riders who unleash total chaos, and of course, that infamous number 666. Okay, first up, the Four Horsemen. The interpretation we're examining gives each of these riders a modern identity, and honestly, one that might feel a little eerily familiar from today's news.
And this really gets to the heart of the argument. You've got the white horse, traditionally conquest or pestilence, reimagined as a global pandemic, an invisible enemy wearing a crown or, corona. The red horse of war is seen not just as conflict between nations, but as the political polarization that tears societies apart from the inside. The black horse of famine becomes hyperinflation and these huge wealth gaps where just basic survival starts to feel like a luxury. And then finally, the pale horse death is seen as the grim result of the others, mass casualties and this profound sense of spiritual despair.
All right, now let's turn to maybe the most famous and chilling part of the prophecy, the mark of the beast and its number, 666. The source really anchors its entire interpretation in this one line. And notice that critical phrase, buy or sell. That little bit transforms the mark from a purely religious symbol into something that's fundamentally economic, which is absolutely key to understanding the modern theories that follow. Now, what's really interesting here is the history. Before we get to modern theories, the source points out that most scholars believe 666 wasn't some mystical number at all. It was a code, a practice called gematria that numerically pointed to one specific person, the Roman Emperor Nero, a brutal persecutor of the early Christians. And this right here is the pivot. The source argues that even if 666 originally meant Nero, the principle behind the mark is what echoes through time. It's a symbol for any system that demands absolute control. So the source suggests modern interpretations fall into three main buckets. First, the literal tech implant, a microchip under your skin linking your body to your bank account. Second, a system of economic control. Think of a purely digital currency that could be programmed to exclude anyone who doesn't comply. And third, something more abstract, an ideological mark, where holding the correct opinions becomes the price of admission to society. So how do we connect a microchip, a digital currency, and a social ideology? Well, according to this interpretation, all three of these seemingly different ideas point to the same powerful underlying warning. So here's the crucial takeaway. In this view, the real terror of the mark isn't the technology itself, but the choice it forces. It creates an ultimatum. Hold on to your personal freedom and beliefs, or surrender them just to be able to buy and sell, just to survive.
So, let's just pull it all together. This interpretation decodes these ancient symbols not as one-time events, but as recurring patterns of crisis. The horsemen become modern plague, war, inflation, and despair. The mark of the beast becomes a warning against any system, technological, economic, or ideological, that demands total control in exchange for participation. And it all boils down to that timeless question about the trade-off between freedom and security. And that's the final, provocative question this interpretation leaves us with. It isn't a prediction about the future, but it is a challenge to consider the choices we are all making right here, right now.